Hello there, friends. It's Jimmy Maverick. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Maverick podcast. And today we are going to talk about the positional dominance draft strategy, which I utilize in smaller leagues, 10 teams and smaller. And then we're going to do a mock draft to show you how it works. So you definitely want to stay tuned for that. Here we go.
Listen up. It's time for the Fantasy Maverick podcast, starring the guy who's going to help you win that fantasy championship, Jimmy Maverick.
Hello there, friends, and welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Maverick podcast. My name is Jimmy Maverick, coming at you from Santa Fe, New Mexico. And today we are going to talk about the best strategy for smaller leagues. Okay, so if you are in a 10-team or smaller league, you need to have a distinct and separate strategy from what you normally do in your larger leagues. The reason for this is because when it comes to smaller leagues, everyone's going to have great running backs and wide receivers. Everybody's going to have a very deep bench. There's going to be great options available on the waiver wire that you're not going to see in larger leagues. I mean, on a general basis, a 15-round draft, in a 10-team league, you're only drafting 150 players. In a 12-team league, you're drafting 180 players. So there's 30 additional players that are available on the waiver wire that wouldn't be available in a larger league. So how do you gain an advantage in this situation? Well, you do it through what I call the positional dominance strategy. And basically what it is that you make yourself draft an elite quarterback and an elite tight end early in the draft. And obviously, optimally for me, those two players would be Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. All right? Those are the two guys that you should try to get. And what I say is, in this positional dominance strategy, use your first round pick, get yourself an elite running back. Then use your second and third round pick to get those two players. And then from there, build out your team. You'll take the rest of your wide receivers and running backs in the 4th through 7th round, and just continue to build those players out for the rest of your draft. If you use my optimal position allocation, you would only take one tight end, one quarterback, one defense, one kicker, and in a typical draft setup with 2 wide receiver slots, a flex slot, and 6 bench slots. I say that how many wide receivers do you need? Well, you need the number of wide receiver slots plus your flex plus the number of flex slots plus 1. So in this case, 4 wide receivers, but then everyone else should be running backs. And that's how you should target it. But don't worry about not taking running backs or wide receivers in that second and third round pick, okay? You are going to, because of the nature of the league and how players come off the board, as compared to a 12-team league, there's a significant difference in the quality of players that are available much later than you would think. For instance, players in the first 5 rounds of the draft are typically going to be available 1 round later than you would expect them to be. Obviously, every round it gets more amplified. But that 3rd round player that you want to get in your 12-team league, you can get him in the 4th round in a 10-team league, all right? Likewise, for rounds 6 through 10, it's then going to be a 2-round difference between when you could get him in a 12-team league. You're talking about he's in a 12-team league, you're talking about an 8th round player. But in a 10-team league, that's a 10th round player. So, and then finally, when you're in rounds 11 through 15, the round difference is now 3 rounds. So that 12th round player that you could get in a 12-team league, you can get him in the 15th round in a 10-team or smaller league. Okay, so it amplifies. Better players are available later, and you're not going to hurt your team, and you're not going to hurt your depth by not taking those wide receivers and running backs in the 2nd and 3rd round. So, like I said, when you have a positionally dominant player in your quarterback and your tight end slot, because those positions are relatively thin when you're talking about these leagues, and to have a point advantage on a week-to-week basis in both those positions over every other team in the league, you are going to be in a much stronger position to win that league and do very well. Last year, I did a 10-team league. It was a 10-team PPR league, and I made some mistakes. All right, my first mistake was with my first round pick. I took Juju Smith-Schuster, okay, which was a complete and total utter bust. But I did get Travis Kelce, and I did get Lamar Jackson. But and I also got Derrick Henry. I got Derrick Henry in the 5th round last year. Okay, that's like showing you what I'm talking about here. And even though I totally botched my first round pick, I mean, and Travis Kelce was also a big disappointment for the first half of the season. So I had basically felt I had botched my first 2 picks. I still ended up in 4th place in this league, because I had the best quarterback in the league, I had the best tight end in the league, and I had the best running back in the league. And I still managed to make it to 4th place with really, I really screwed up the wide receivers. That's what happened is I had Juju Smith-Schuster and who was my other wide receiver? I can't think of it right now, but it was another one that was just a mess. He underperformed his draft position, so I really struggled with my receivers. But the rest of the team was solid. I still ended up in 4th place. I still should have made it to the playoffs, but in this particular league, they had divisions. I was in the division that had all the top teams in it. And so they had to take one team from the other division. And, of course, I was the one that got booted out. But still, it shows you how strong it works, how well it works. Even when you totally blow it on your first pick, you can still do very well. It's very easy to do, because I had the best tight end and the best quarterback. So anyway, obviously, optimally, Mahomes and Kelce are your top 2 choices. But like I said, you can go for Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, or Deshaun Watson. And Deshaun Watson actually is someone who's available later than he should be, because of the whole thing with Hopkins leaving the team. Everyone's downgraded him. He's now like the 6th quarterback coming off the board. For me, for value, he's still the QB3. And he still has good receiving options on his team. So we'll see what happens with that. And then for tight ends, it's Kelce, Kittle, or Ertz. And again, Ertz is kind of like your emergency fallback if you miss on the first 2. So what I want to do is let's do a mock draft, and we'll use my tool, My Perfect Fantasy Draft, to help us pick players. But we'll do a 10-team mock draft. I'm going to show you how this works, and you'll see in the end how great the team is going to be, even using this strategy. All right, so we are going to go and we're going to do a 10-team draft, drafting from the 5th position, half PPR. It's going to be your standard setup: 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, defense, kicker, 6 bench slots. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go get this started, and we're going to see who comes off the board first. So just give it a second to load here. All right, so in the first 4 picks, we have McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott, and Henry all came off the board. So if we go and look at my app, we're going to go to the first round here, and you can see that it's recommending Alvin Kamara as the top choice. It also recommends Kenyon Drake and Chris Godwin. I love the idea of going with Alvin Kamara. I think he's set for a strong bounce-back season. Plus, it's a contract year for him, so I think he's going to do very well. So, and I don't like the suggestion, so I'm going to go off the cheat sheets here. So let's go ahead and we're going to hide the tiers, and we're going to go ahead and take Alvin Kamara first. So we'll go ahead and draft him, and now we'll watch the other players come off. They come off very quickly. We'll just review them as soon as they're done with this coming off. We'll go to the draft board. So after our pick, it was Dalvin Cook, then Michael Thomas, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Joe Mixon. Then to start the second round, we have Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, Nick Chubb, Julio Jones, and Miles Sanders have come off. It's back to us. So now we are going to go to our positional dominance strategy. So if we look right now at the quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are both long shots this means they're reaches, which means that in the third round, they're going to be long shots, less than a 50-50 chance to get them. Given that there's 2 options here that I would be fine with either one, let's go ahead and gamble with that. And actually, if we look at the tight ends, Travis Kelce is the long shot for this round. So he should have been gone by this point because we're at pick 16. He should have been gone at pick 15, but he is still on the board. If he wasn't available, I would have taken George Kittle on this second round pick. So let's go ahead and we'll take Kelce with our second pick. And That gives us our number 1 tight end, which is fantastic. And hopefully we'll be able to get Mahomes. If we don't, we'll get Lamar Jackson. It'll be fine. Now, I know that I've talked down about Lamar Jackson, but I still have him valued as my QB2. Now, there is downside risk associated with him, regression risk, but he's got the safest floor of any quarterback in the league because of his rushing stats. He's still going to be a very dominant presence, just in the same way that you used to see it with Cam Newton. He's going to be a force on the field, a threat to score every time he touches the ball. So let's see here. So it came back to us, and look, we lucked out. Look at that. We gambled, and we won. So both the quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, are still on the board, and they did make it back to us. So let's go ahead, and we will then take our optimal pick, Patrick Mahomes. That is fantastic. I love the fact that we got both Mahomes and Kelsey. But again, it was a little bit of a long shot on both of them. So the fact that they both made it back to us was very fortuitous for our team. Now if we go to the fourth round, now we need to start building up the rest of our team. Now it is recommending Le'Veon Bell, Calvin Ridley, Courtland Sutton. You can see that Courtland Sutton is a reach, so he will possibly be available on the next pick. Le'Veon Bell, Chris Carson, Leonard Fournette. Let's just take a look here real quick. Fournette is gone. Carson is still there, and Bell is still there. So those are both good choices. And then on for the wide receivers, you can see that there is Robert Woods is a long shot who offers nice value at this point in the draft. He is also a bounce back. Wow, to get 3 long shots in a row, that's actually very nice. So let's go ahead. We'll take Robert Woods as our wide receiver 1, and I do project him as a low end wide receiver 1, especially if he can bounce back from that 2 touchdown total last year on his volume. So, looks like Le'Veon Bell came off. Chris Carson is still there though, so I think that might be a good choice to jump back and grab. If we go to the 5th round, we can see here. Let's see here. Is Chris Carson still on the board? No, he is not. Let's look at him for value as a 5th round pick. And this is what I'm talking about. Chris Carson is usually someone you have to get in the 4th round, but here he is sitting available in the 5th round because we're in a smaller league, right? So Chris Carson is available. He does score the most VORC points here, 87 VORC points as a long shot. Courtland Sutton also scores very well, 65 VORC points, and he is still available as well. And I do like both those options, but I got to go and bolster my running backs because, again, all I have right now is Alvin Kamara. So let's go ahead and take Chris Carson with our next pick. Again, another long shot. That is fantastic. And let's go to the 6th round. Oh, let's see who comes off. I don't think I reviewed, actually, who came off on the last round. I'm sorry about that. But we will review it right now. So after our pick of Chris Carson, then Zach Ertz came off, David Johnson, James Conner, Mark Ingram, Courtland Sutton. So Ertz, again, is another one. He's a top 3 option. What is this? Turn off. Okay, Ertz is a top 3 option, and you can see he's available he went in the 5th round. So if you miss on Kelsey and Kittle, you can always go for Ertz. But then to start the 6th round, we've got Waller, Singletary, Prescott, Murray, and DK Metcalf. So even here in the 6th round, Deshaun Watson still on the board. So you can modify this positional dominance strategy and maybe go for Ertz and Watson as a top 3 option that will, again, that will be good for positional dominance. But like I said, I really want to have the number 1 guy in both those positions because that's what's going to help you have an advantage over every other team in the league. Instead of just like 7 of them, you have an advantage over 9 of them, okay? So here we are in the 6th round. We really should go for another wide receiver here. So let's go to the cheat sheet and see who's still available. And you can see there's Tyler Lockett, who I don't like for his consistency. Let's see what the app says. So we are in the 6th round, right? Yes. Okay. So 6th round. Darren Waller, who's already gone. Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott is what it's recommending, but we don't want any of those players because we've already got those positions set. So if we look at running backs, you can see we get Kareem Hunt, who scores very well this round, 65 VORC points. Good value, like a full round of value for us. I think he would be a really good choice as a 3rd running back. For wide receiver, DK Metcalf just came off the board. He was a long shot anyway. Terry McLaurin, value rank of 49th. He scores 48 Vork points here. He's also a really good choice. Let's see here. So let's see here, Kareem Hunt. And Kareem Hunt's a long shot for this round. Boy, all right, this is kind of a tough choice here. Let's see here. So we've got David Montgomery still on the board. Oh, is Kareem Hunt gone? Oh, no, he's still there. Okay, so we've got some other options. Montgomery, Mostert, Swift, Akers, some rookies and stuff. Although I think I like Kareem Hunt the best of those options. And then there's Terry McLaurin right there. I could gamble and see if Hunt makes it to the next pick for us. It's a long shot, and I bet you he'll be gone. But even if we miss him, we could still get someone like Ronald Jones on the next pick, who I think would be good as a flex option. Let's continue to bolster our wide receivers, get our second wide receiver, and Terry McLaurin is kind of like my favorite at this point in the draft. There's also Jarvis Landry right here, and Landry is also let's just look. Is Landry on the list here? He might be on the next round. Landry's on the next round. So is Tyler Boyd. Okay, you know what? I am going to go with Hunt, and just so we look here, here's Mostert, here's Singletary, Swift, and Akers. See, none of these guys score as well for Vork points as Kareem Hunt does. So if these guys fall to the next round, they'll be a lot more valuable. But for right now, let's definitely take Kareem Hunt. That's definitely going to be the best choice for us here. So let's go ahead and draft him. So that's our third running back. We've got two wide receivers. And we don't need to worry about the defense and the kicker until the end of the draft. So basically, we're going to draft two more wide receivers, and then everyone else is going to be a running back. So, and look at this. Look who made it back to us. Look at this. Terry McLaurin made it back. Jarvis Landry made it back. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, so let's go to the 7th round, and for wide receivers. So there's Jarvis Landry. There's Tyler Boyd. Let's also do... Let's also put McLaurin back up on the board. McLaurin scores the most Vork points here. Great value, man. We're getting like more than a full round of value out of him. So let's go ahead and we'll take McLaurin. Awesome value play as our third wide receiver. That's great. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That's our second wide receiver. We've only taken one wide receiver so far. Okay, so now we're in the 8th round. Let's definitely get ourselves another wide receiver. So if we're in the 8th round, who's it recommending? We got Matt Ryan, Marlon Mack, Ronald Jones. Okay, so it's recommending all running backs. Let's look at the wide receiver options. We got Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks. See, none of these guys score real well except for Michael Gallup, and I believe he is still on the board. Let's see here. No, Gallup is already gone. So we're down to Marquise Brown, Marvis. Yeah, see. So this is definitely a round to take a running back because there's really no good options at wide receiver. And actually, look, there's some rookies that made it back here too. Swift and Akers made it to us here. So let's put those guys back on the list. There's Swift and there's Akers. How do they score? Swift scores over 40 points, which is good. Akers is still below 40. But the top pick, Marlon Mack, who's a reach, or Ronald Jones, who offers very nice value here. So let's go ahead. We'll get, since this is such a terrible round for wide receivers, let's go ahead. We'll get our Ronald Jones here. And I think that'll be a great choice for the team as our 4th running back. But we definitely need to get ourselves two more wide receivers, and I think things will be better here in the 9th round. Let's see who they're recommending in the 9th round. Philip Lindsay, Carson Wentz, Keyshawn Vaughn. Again, running backs and quarterbacks. Let's look at the wide receivers. Boy, not great options. Boy, okay, so let's see here. Who's still on the board? We got Kirk, Johnson, Brown, Slayton. There's Crowder. Where are these guys showing up? How come I haven't seen them yet? Okay, well, there's Shepard and Crowder coming off as the 11th round. See, I don't like those numbers. And let's see here. So, Kirk, is he still on? He hasn't even. Oh, Kirk is right there. 5 work points. No, he's not a great option. Deontay Johnson, John Brown. No. Slayton, Crowder. Man. Okay. I think we really need to take some wide receivers here. These wide receivers are not scoring well enough for me to want to consider. John Brown is good if he makes it to the next round, but this round he's not offering good value. But we've got Shepard and Crowder. I think Crowder is going to be probably our best choice here, just for volume. I think he's a fine choice as a third wide receiver. And we'll see what happens coming around and who is still available. Now, look, we got stuff Slayton, Williams, Shepard here in the 10th round. So in the 10th round again, did John Brown make it back? I don't think he did. No, he's gone. Okay, so again, looking at Sterling Shepard is going to be the best option for our 4th wide receiver. And Sterling Shepard is still on the board here. So let's go ahead and take him. And that will be our 4th wide receiver. We will take 3 more running backs now. So you can see Marlon Mack just came off. So let's see here. Now look, there's still some really good options up here. Okay, so now we are in the 11th round, and we are looking at running backs. And so who's it recommending? Darrell Henderson, Alexander Madison. Those are the 2 guys that score over 44 points. The rest of these guys do not, so not really interested. But look, we got Damian Williams, Matt Breida. We can restore those guys. Williams, Breida. Let's see here. Coleman or Johnson. Coleman's not even on the list yet. Coleman or Johnson. Wait a minute, which Johnson? It's Duke Johnson, right? No, Kerryon Johnson. Is Kerryon Johnson on this list? Oh, there, and look, there's Tevin Coleman way down there. Okay, so we restored, there's Kerryon Johnson. He doesn't score 40 points. Darrell Henderson does. Alexander Madison does. Looking at their relative draft position, let's take Madison, and then we'll probably take Henderson on the next pick. So let's see here. Let's see here. There's Madison. And there's Henderson. We'll see if Henderson makes it back to us. We'll go ahead and we'll take Madison. I think he's a really great handcuff to take this year just because of the situation with Cook and a potential holdout. And look, Henderson did make it back to us, so that's good. So Henderson, we're now in the 12th round. And if we look at Henderson, where is he? Somehow he is not on the list down here. But we already saw in the 11th round, he was already scoring 70 work points. So in the 12th round, he's even more valuable. So Darrell Henderson made it to us. So let's go ahead and take him. And then if we go to the 13th round, you can see that Boston Scott scores 60 work points here. So Boston Scott is a great choice if he makes it back to us. Let's see what happens. Yes, he did make it back to us. Great. Okay, so that fills out our running backs. And now let's go, we'll take our defense and our kicker. So if we go down to the defense list, look at this. The Patriots are still on the board. Although the Patriots have a horrible schedule to open the season, I do not want them. I've actually kind of just been going Eagles every time I've been playing. Oh, we could also take a kicker. You know what? Let's take our elite kicker right now. I'll take Justin Tucker because I don't want another Kansas City player on my starters. And we should come back around, and it should be, the Eagles are still available. So let's go ahead. We'll take the Eagles. I love their early season schedule. So let's go ahead and fill that out. And look at that, B+. Awesome. That's what you want, right? That's how you want to have it happen. Now, I'm just going to pause real quick. We're going to look at this team on my app and look at the players and see how we did. All right, so here we are. I really like this team. This is a very solid team. I want to just point out some of the aspects about it. Now, the first thing is I have 7 players, top 50 value. I have no low reliability players. In fact, I've got 5 players with high reliability. Everyone else has mid reliability, which is great. For consistency, I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players score 5 or better on consistency. That's a 5 out of 10 score, so top half. If we look at these players' outlook, I've got plenty of stars here. Only one 2-star player, and that's Patrick Mahomes, who, again, I am not recommending in larger leagues, but in smaller leagues, he is perfect. So he's going to be a star. He's a fantastic player, and he's great for this kind of league. But if we look at the players that are on contract here. Sorry, I forgot where my brain was there. Alvin Kamara, Boston Scott, Chris Carson, Ronald Jones, those are all on contract here. For bounce back players, Kamara, obviously, Robert Woods, Kareem Hunt. For breakout players, I've got Darrell Henderson, Boston Scott. I've got Alexander Madison. That's what the little fist bump is. Only one injured player, Chris Carson, obviously, who had that season-ending injury last year. If we were closer to the season and he still had the injury designation and was not playing, he'd be downgraded. I would not take him. I don't take injured players typically, but we're still far enough away that I think he's going to be fine to start the season. But upward trend players, Chris Carson, Robert Woods, so that's very good. So all in all, this is a very solid team. This is exactly the kind of team that I like to draft. I didn't take a lot of chances here. And again, on a week-to-week basis, we're going to have the number 1 quarterback and the number 1 tight end every single week. That's going to help us beat our opponents. And again, that's part of the reason why they gave us a B+ on the Fantasy Pros app. So that's how you do it. So that's what positional dominance strategy is. And again, you can modify it, right? As I showed you, when we looked at the top 3, Ertz and Watson were guys that were going much later in the draft. They were going in the 5th and 6th round. And so if you wanted to maybe just go and get Mahomes, and then you could wait and get Ertz and instead spend that 3rd round pick on an elite wide receiver or another elite running back, you can do that, right? Like I said, my goal is to get the number 1 in both those positions. So that's where I'm at, but you're not going to really hurt your team by getting the number 2 or the number 3 player. They're all going to be very good for you and will give you what you need on a week-to-week basis during the season. So that's how it works. So if you have any questions, please leave messages down below, comments down below. Please like and subscribe. And if you haven't done so already, again, please go to my website, fantasyfootballmaverick.com. It's going to help you in any size league you're in, whether it's 8-team to 16-team leagues right now is what I have set up for draft mode. But like I said, it breaks down the draft list and points to you the best players in each round. And again, like I said, what you need to do when you're in draft mode, you just focus on the top part of the list and ignore the players on the bottom part of the list because they're bad choices at that point in the draft. It doesn't mean they're a bad overall choice. In fact, if they're available later into later rounds, there can be some value there that would make them a potential good choice for your team. So thank you very much again for watching. Have yourself a great rest of your weekend, and we will talk soon.